Hey everyone, welcome back to the Comics Lounge. Once again, we're approaching our 250 subscriber giveaway. We're going to be giving away a pretty awesome book. Wanted to just kind of talk to all of our new comic book collectors. So this is something that I know a lot of you who are new kind of question, and that's basically just like, where do I start? Where do I begin? And it's such a tough question to ask. So here's how I did it. And you can begin this same way, you can begin a million different ways. But what I did was I started watching the MCU, and my comics book journey kind of started back in the 90s. So that 90s comics book journey is what got me into it. So that involved two very important characters that I grew up with, which would be Spider-Man and Venom. And as we talk, I'm gonna just kind of show you what I do, which is bag and board all of those comics that I've read, all of the ones that I want to keep around for a while. Paper is really good for 100 years if you take good care of it. And you want to take good care of your comics. You want to make sure that you have the best quality stuff going on, and you want to make sure that when you decide, you know what, I'm going to CGC that book, I'm going to send that one off, I want to know what it's worth, you want to make sure that you don't shoot yourself in the foot. So right off the bat, you want to make sure that you get some bags and boards. This is a great place to start with any comic book collection. You always want to start here because that will help you out in the long run. You also want to make sure that when you are bagging and boarding, you are doing it correctly. So it's not that there's an improper way to bag and board, but there are times when I shoot myself in the foot, I guess is the best way to put it, where I don't get this line perfect. You want to make sure basically that there's nothing that can get inside there. Obviously it's never going to be perfectly airtight, but you also don't want to leave a big air bubble in your book, because then you're going to see it and you're going to have less space in your boxes. And obviously you want to make as much room in your boxes for your books, because again, you're taking good care of them. But again, you got to start somewhere. So my biggest suggestion is start small. Always start small when you get into something new, because you definitely don't want to jump into anything. You definitely don't want to be that type of collector who is only in it for the money. Because if you're only in it for the money, is it really a collection or is it now a business? Let's be real. And let's kind of talk about that. Comics are worth money. It's true. I hope that someday I buy a comic that's gonna pay for my son's school. Like, that would be amazing. It would be great to be able to say, this book right here, you know what? This book, that's the one that got my kid into college, free ride. But I know that that's not realistic. I know that that's not the reason why I'm getting into this. It would be phenomenal, it would be great, but again, it's not why I got into collecting. I got into collecting simply because I wanted to know the source material. I wanted to see what it was that made these characters such amazing, well-written characters. And truly, are there some flops? Oh, heck yeah. There are some very big flops, and honestly, it's easy to see which ones they are. When it comes to looking at source material and seeing, wow, that probably should have never been made. I actually was sitting down with someone yesterday, and they were saying how it's amazing how DC is able to put out these wonderful, phenomenal animated movies, and then when it comes to live action, they just don't have any idea what the heck they're doing. It's crazy. So it was truly about the source material for me. Again, when I got back into comics and when I got back into just superheroes after college, I started watching the Flash TV show. I started watching the Arrow TV show. I started watching all the MCU movies. And honestly, they are some of my favorite heroes. Spider-Man, Flash, Green Arrow, Venom is one of my favorite anti-heroes. Deadpool, Thor, Iron Man. They're phenomenal. But again, I can't read all of their comic books. Honest to God. I don't have many of it because he's one of those characters I don't read. One of the biggest ones that I don't like to read is Iron Man. It's crazy to say that because I love Iron Man. He is a phenomenal, well-written character in the MCU, but I've just never been able to get into his books. And that's not a bad thing. It's just, it's not like I'm trying to say, hey, his books suck. They don't. They are well written. There's great stories behind them. I can't get into them the same way that I can get into Amazing Spider-Man, the same way I can get into Venom, the same reason why I have a Symbiote Spider-Man box sitting right behind me, because I found that series so phenomenal that I then went and got the King in Black edition for Symbiote Spider-Man and read it right away because I love that character so much. Honestly, guys, it's all about the characters that you get involved in and that you get entrenched in. It's kind of like saying, when we're talking about a book, there's people out there who would die to meet Harry Potter in real life. And then there's other people who are like, Harry Potter's for kids. Why are you a 20-something, 30-something-year-old reading Harry Potter thinking that it's a phenomenal book? It's a kid's book. I wouldn't read it. That was one of my high school English teachers. That teacher just did not like Harry Potter. He thought that it was for kids. Not saying that he didn't like the books, but that's not something that I would pride myself on reading when I'm a high schooler or beyond. Which I get. I bought Crossover. It's a really good book. It's one of those books that I'll probably pull out to read every now and again just because I love it. But at the same time, I don't know if I'm going to get issue number 2. It's one of those ones that I truly love the cover, and that's one of the biggest reasons why I bought it, was because this cover is just fire. Sorry, there's a huge glare from that light behind me. The cover is amazing, and it's not that it's ugly, it's not that it's or it's not that the book is bad, it's just that there's so much going on in it, and it's a very interesting book that I don't know if I'm going to read it again, or I don't know if I'm going to read another one. It's one of those books that didn't capture my attention, but I definitely love having it in my collection because it's something that I could go back to years down the line and say, wow, remember when Crossover happened? That's what it comes down to. So, and again, this is one of those books that could be a modern key. I don't think it will be. I think it's a ton of hype. I think the variants have taken over the market for it, and that's okay. But honestly, this whole idea of modern keys, which we will get into later, will be kind of the downfall of the new collectors. They'll want to get these modern keys that they think are going to be the next Galactus, the next Spider-Man, the next amazing this or that, but I don't know that they're going to be that way. And I'm a new collector myself. I've only been collecting for the past 4 to 5 years, So I'm not telling you that I'm this phenomenal collector who knows everything, because I don't. I'm still learning. But I wanted to kind of put this out there and let you guys know it's a waiting game. It's You're in this to read the books and to collect some really cool covers, some really cool artwork, some really cool stories. That's why I got into it. Again, I wanted to know the source material. So, with all that being said, I really hope that you guys kind of learn something from this. If you are a new collector, you think about starting to collect comic books, where you should start. Definitely go to your local comic book store, look around, pull some books out, and just start talking to people. That is, I know in COVID that's hard to say, but genuinely have a conversation with someone and just say, who would you read? Or, hey, I really thought that Thor was cool in the Dark World. You might get hit. That just might be how it goes. But when you wake up, you might be able to get the sentence out, where should I start reading him? And guaranteed 9 times out of 10, that person will say, hey, that movie sucked. No, but seriously, that person will say, oh, I would definitely start reading Thor right here. And it's phenomenal that it's a community that brings each other together. There is toxicity in it. And again, we'll get into that in a different video. But I wanted to kind of just open up the conversation and see how you guys played into it before I just rolled on with an hour spiel. So hopefully you learned something from this. I would love to talk more about this, and I would love to collaborate with some people on this. It would be phenomenal. Have a great day, and as always, keep it casual, my friends. I will see you very, very soon.